Good morning and welcome to Willowdene Rehabilitation Centre. I'm Matt Home and I have the privilege of running Willowdene on a daily basis. I'm sad that you can't be here today in person, but thank you ever so much for logging on and registering your interest in our opening today. We're joined online by colleagues and friends from the National Probation Service, community rehabilitation companies, private, public sector organisations, Public Health England, Ministry of Justice, and friends and colleagues and individuals that have taken time out of their busy diary to join us today. So thank you very much. And hopefully, when restrictions ease, you'll be able to come and experience this building firsthand and speak to our students who have benefited from the facilities here. For some of you that don't know about Willowdene, I'll provide you with a brief overview. Willowdene Rehabilitation Centre was established in 1988 and it provided services for 8 male students from across the UK, mainly entrenched in Class A substance misuse, and they were here for 12 months undergoing skills training and therapeutic interventions. In our 33 years of history, we've yet to find someone that wakes up and wants to use Class A substances or becomes alcohol dependent. There is a trigger or trauma in their life that has led them to use these substances as a coping strategy, and in many cases has led them to enter the criminal justice system. At Willowdene, we passionately believe that people can recover from a life of addiction and a life of revolving door offending. And our interventions here through directive therapy enable students to address the issues of their past and live the life they were designed for, irrespective of their birth or life circumstances. And over the years, Willowdene has significantly expanded. In 2011, we opened the doors to daycare services, and we started to see men and women coming across West Mercia to access our interventions here in partnership with West Mercia Probation Trust. Those interventions enabled us for the first time to start working with women. And the disparity of women and men in the criminal justice system became apparent to us as an organisation. And in 2013, we opened the very first residential alternative to custody in the UK for female offenders. And I'm pleased to say that throughout the pandemic, we've been able to continue that service, seeing lives transformed of the most vulnerable women in our society. Today, we offer interventions for post-sentence supervision, for rehabilitation activity requirements, unpaid work, employability, working with a whole range of individuals from across West Mercia and the West Midlands. But during that time, since 2011, working with these women, we've experienced firsthand the trauma that women go through when their children are taken into care. We're also acutely aware of the trauma that children experience growing up in a family with chaotic parents, perhaps involved in criminal justice or addicted to substances or alcohol dependent. A third of all female offenders have been in care at some point in their lives. And we know that children in care are 6 times more likely to be convicted or cautioned of crime than compared to other young people. Now, please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the care system creates offenders. I'm saying that they're put into care because of the lifestyle and the families they're in. And I think now is the time to break that intervention. And I really believe our Family Assessment Centre here at Willowdene will enable us to deliver that life-changing opportunity. When we look at Shropshire and we look at the new presentations of women into drug and alcohol services, in 2020, a third of all new presentations of women had children living at home. That was affecting, just in 2020 alone, 100 children experiencing chaotic parents. When we look at our own data, we know that 52% of the women accessing Willowdene are mothers. When they access our daycare services, less than 10% have children in their direct care. And when they're on the custody threshold, accessing our residential services, less than 2% of these women have care of their children. I believe that we need to provide more upstream interventions and prevent children being taken into care by supporting their mothers and breaking that generational effect of offending and substance misuse. So, this building will enable us to work with women who have lost their children, who have gone into the care system, will enable us to provide upstream interventions working with local authorities to enable children to have better starts in life and hopefully rebuild relationships that maintain happy, healthy lives for mother and child. Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to see a virtual tour of this building, we're going to have the formal opening of the building, and we're going to hear from students, past and present, how they've had their lives changed from accessing the interventions here at Willowdene. Just before I go on and introduce you to our special guests, I want to remind you that there is a chat function on your screen. And the bottom of your screen, we're going to have a Q&A session later on, so I'd be delighted if you can pose some questions to us. And this morning I'm joined by Dean Harris, our very own High Sheriff of Shropshire, and it is a great privilege to introduce you to Dean. Welcome, Dean.
Good morning. Good morning.
And you're going to hear much more from Dean later on. And to my left is Neal Hooper, the Managing Director of Aico. Aico, through their corporate social responsibility, have helped fund this building, and Neal will be giving a presentation later on this morning. But I'm delighted, Neal, to welcome you here this morning. I'm now going to hand over to you for the formal opening of this building.
Thank you, Matt. It's an absolute honour on behalf of Aico to open Willowdene's Family Assessment Centre this morning. I'd like to congratulate Matt, all his family and colleagues in the great work that they carry out, and pleasure to be here today. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Neal. Thank you, Dean. You'll hear much more from them later on this morning. And now let's have a virtual tour of the building. Thank you. Excellent. So I hope you really enjoyed that virtual tour of the building. And again, we extend our hospitality to you when we can moving forward. But it gives me great privilege to introduce to you Dean Harris, our very own High Sheriff of Shropshire. I've worked with many High Sheriffs over the year, and I must say, Dean, you're like Tigger. You are brilliant. You bound around the county doing great works, and you've really strengthened our partnerships this year. And I'm going to hand over to you now for your presentation. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, Matt, for that rather unusual introduction. Good morning, everyone. I was well aware of the work and excellent reputation of Willowdene before I took office, due to my role as a magistrate, but I wanted to find out and see if there was any way I could help in any way. With Aico agreeing to support me on CSR during my Shrevell year, I saw the perfect fit between two organisations and two individuals with shared common values, and so I introduced Matt and Neal. Without doubt, the work that is done here at Willowdene is exceptional, and it's a very special place. So then to have an outstanding corporate partner like Aico working with you really is a win-win. We have seen a fantastic, mutually beneficial professional relationship blossom between these two organisations, resulting in the building of this amazing facility. This Family Assessment Centre will no doubt provide the ideal environment for positive family relationships to be nurtured through quality time, communication, teamwork and appreciation of each other. It has been such a difficult year for so many. I am fortunate to have had the opportunity and platform to help make a positive difference in the county. Today is definitely one of the highlights of my time as High Sheriff of Shropshire, and I'm very proud to be part of it. We'll hear from Neal in a moment, but first for a video clip.
Hi, good morning everybody. Delighted to be here today. As Dean said, it was she that introduced Matt and I just over 3 years ago now. It wasn't the most auspicious of starts. Matt made what has become one of his traditionally weak, insipid cups of tea, indeed one that he's just served up to me over the road here. He then proudly showed us his marketing, which at the time consisted of dog-eared bits of paper, post-it notes, all beautifully laminated though, and attached to various walls with blue tack. And then finally, the piece de resistance of that inaugural meeting was wandering over to where I'm standing about now. There used to be a goat shed for the 4 goats to try and eat my trousers. And yet here we are, 3 years later, completely involved with Willowdene. When I look back to that, it was because Aico was launching Aico in the community. We were searching for something to do. Over many, many years, Aico had laid the foundations for its charitable work by donating every Christmas to various great causes and charities. Each of us, as colleagues, would choose a charity and we would nominate a particular cause that was close to us. And we would then donate money, £500, £1,000, £2,000. Multiply that by all of our colleagues in Aico, and we were doing something and we were very proud of it. But we wanted to do so much more. We're in a very privileged position and we wanted to be up to something. So we launched Aico in the community. We were seeking a role where we could go out and contribute positive CSR, not just financially, but physically as well. It was important to all of us. We discussed it. I then came here to Willowdene, and Matt Home is one of the most inspirational people that I've ever met. I think the work that he and his family and colleagues do here is remarkable. Life-changing interventions indeed, but that barely covers it. It is a remarkable story of what they achieve and what they give to people who are less privileged, who are looking for guidance, who are looking for a fresh start. With Aico, we were able to come here, and over the last 3 years, virtually all of my colleagues from all over the United Kingdom have been able to come to Willowdene to work on the farm, to be involved with the animals, to lay concrete, to paint and be in amongst the cabins. Of course, we then shared that with other companies, and it opened many, many doors for us because people saw that Aico in the community was actually up to something. We weren't just talking about it, we were trying to do good deeds because we want to. And Willowdene was the start of all of that. From there, we've been able to go into other charities, other causes, and commit our time, everybody 2 days a year, every single year, trying to do good. It all started with Willowdene. I believe from what Matt said earlier that this is the only relationship that is happening in the United Kingdom between the Rehabilitation Centre and a company, a corporate entity. That cannot be right. That does not make any sense at all. Life-changing interventions need all of our support. We all need to get involved. We're already involved with great causes and charities. And what we fundamentally see at Willowdene is all of that and so much more. I am very sad that my colleagues at Aico can't be with me today. They have given so much time in supporting Willowdene because it's a great place to be. It inspires you when you come here. And I would dearly love them to be standing here seeing the opening of this centre. As Dean has said already, this is one of the proudest moments I could envisage. Being involved with the opening of an assessment centre for families at Willowdene Rehabilitation Centre in Shropshire. It doesn't get much better than this. There is so much more we want to do. But in the meantime, I urge you to go onto the Willowdene website, look at what businesses, causes, charities, rehabilitation centres like this are doing and wonder how can we support it. Because that's what we've done and what I've seen amongst my colleagues in Oswestry and all around the United Kingdom is the pride of being involved in such a great cause. Thank you. I'm going to hand over back to Matt now.
Thanks, Neil. That was brilliant. A great insight into the work that Aico are doing in the community and your organisation. And thank you ever so much for the kind words that you said about Willowdene. It truly is a really good partnership that we have together, and I look forward to working with Aico in the future. We're now going to show a video clip of a mother and baby who's accessing our services here at Willowdene, and then we're going to see a short clip of a previous former female student that's been through Willowdene and how her life has transformed and she's living happy and healthy in the community. Just a quick reminder, this is the last time to send me any questions, so please feel free to type in the box on the screen and we'll look forward to answering those after these clips. Thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to share your experiences. Can you tell me a little bit about the circumstances that brought you to Willowdene in the first place?
Yes, following a very prolonged history of drug and alcohol misuse, I was referred by the drug and alcohol services initially to go into detox for 1 week and then to commence a 3-month rehabilitation programme at Willowdene, which was the best decision ever made for me in my life, really.
Okay, and what happened after that 3-month programme?
Willowdene were absolutely fabulous. They continued to support me on a weekly basis or a daily basis if I needed that help and support. Always at the end of the phone, a text message, checking in to see how I was getting on. I also went to Willowdene at weekends just to help me with my reintegration into the community, which was immensely beneficial and helped give me newfound confidence. And helped me remain abstinent.
And a lot of the work that you've done with Willowdene is also focused around your role as a mother as well. So regarding rehabilitation and family liaison, what has been the most important aspect of your journey whilst at Willowdene?
They've been immensely professional and knowledgeable. They have liaised with the local authority, supported me through court, through attending a mother and baby unit, assisted me with the birth of my daughter, and supported me during my time in hospital. I also have an older daughter, and Willowdene have helped me immensely, keeping that connection going and trying to re-establish a relationship with my elder daughter as well.
When your child has had questions or wanted to tell you how they are feeling or how they felt about your past actions, and when they've communicated that through their social worker, what's been the most helpful intervention that Willowdene has offered you or been able to support you with?
Willowdene's been fabulous at facilitating this. There are always support workers whom I can discuss this area with, and I'm also able to work through these areas with a psychotherapist, which has just been incredible. It's really helped guide me through a lot of past traumas that my daughter experienced due to my substance misuse. It's helped me communicate in a positive way to help benefit my elder daughter and also myself. It's been fabulous. Just very approachable. Everyone here is just immensely approachable. I have a great amount of trust in everybody. There's honesty, very, very good communication, which just enables a positive way forward in this area, definitely.
How has the work with your therapist impacted upon your parenting today?
massively. Through the work with the therapist, I've addressed past traumas, which has enabled me, I believe, to become the person I always felt I wanted to be, which in turn has enabled me to parent my daughter in a positive way. It's given me confidence, belief in my own abilities, and also being able to know it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say everybody has a bad day. If you're feeling very tired, a little bit emotional, help and assistance every step of the way has been given to myself and my daughter through Willowdene, 100%.
And you mentioned that you have an older daughter that's not in your care at the moment. How do you think Willowdene has impacted upon I'll start again. How do you think your parenting ability has changed in comparison to the time with your older daughter to where you are now?
Yes, my parenting is, I would say, immensely different. With Willowdene's support and through psychotherapy, I've been able to recognise where I went wrong. I've been able to take responsibility for my actions, the areas and times which were not so good, and reflect upon the past, which has given me a lot of insight into how not to do things, which in turn I think is hopefully will lead to a positive benefit for both my elder daughter and my baby.
It sounds like Willowdene's been a really positive experience for you, and it sounds like that you've worked tremendously hard through it.
I personally feel that Willowdene has and did and continues to save my life, and I don't say that lightly. I was in a terrible predicament through years of drug and alcohol abuse. I was in a terrible domestic violence relationship. Willowdene has provided me immense safety, security. They've just given me life, given me hope. When I felt all was gone, there was nothing to live for, Willowdene were like a beacon of light. They were like a beautiful, bright, shining star in the sky. I can't thank them enough.
And how do you feel about the future?
I have hope. I never thought about the future. The future was just too daunting, just seemed an impossible prospect. I just thought life was bleak, life was very dark. Willowdene has shone light upon that darkness. I have hope. I feel happy, contented, and just full of gratitude.
Thank you ever so much for your time and for sharing your experiences.
Thank you, Sarah.
So this is our new family assessment centre. We are aiming to use it for all sorts of things. We'll be able to have contact visits with children in a really warm, welcoming environment. We'll be able to do family therapy with our therapist, and we'll be able to work with all sorts of different issues for women in a family-friendly setting. So any issue that involves our women students and their families, we've got a purpose-built centre to be able to work with them on it.
Coming to Willowdene, I think it's really good because you've got lots of different aspects and they all offer something different. So you start to believe in yourself, really. You know, you do your qualifications, and once you've got that first certificate, you just think, oh, and you start to believe in yourself again. Before I was just surviving, and now like I really am living. I wake up in the morning and I open the curtains and I want to get up, I want to get dressed, I want to get ready. Contact centres that I've been to previously are very cold and they don't feel homely at all. And when you go in there, there's just a warmth about it, and it's so spacious, and it just feels completely different to any contact centre before. It's just really nice and really warm.
Aico have been very good to us. They are kind of totally committed to supporting what we do. They have completely bought into our vision of how we want to help people holistically. And just to know that our people from our local community actually care and will support us, not just with money, but with their time, with practical help, and in whatever way they can, by giving us furniture or whatever, is just brilliant to know that we are so supported. It has made a huge difference. I'm just really looking forward to welcoming families here and children, seeing children enjoying using this facility and seeing the difference that it makes to families.
That really was wonderful, wasn't it, to see a previous student come through Willowdene and how her life's transformed. I remember Ellen walking down earlier in the week when I saw her after a couple of months, and she just looked wonderful. You could see in her face that the issues of the past have been removed, and we do congratulate, on behalf of Willowdene, Ellen on her recovery as she moves forward. It's now a great opportunity for Dean to host some questions that you've put forward. Thank you very much for all the questions that we've received. I'm now going to hand over to Dean, who's going to interview Neal and myself, and perhaps even Dean, some questions that have come through.
So first question, Alan would like to know, are you going to put a copy of today's event online, as they'd like to share it with their staff? So Neal, you can possibly answer that one.
Yes, sure. This is a live event, as you know, at the moment, and it will be going on to the Aico website probably mid-afternoon. So from about 3 o'clock, aico.co.uk. It will be part of the Aico TV on our website, and then it will be loaded there for weeks to come.
Brilliant. Matt, one for you. Lisa says there has been an increase of looked after children, an increase of 20% of looked after children in Shropshire Council's area alone in the past year. There will also be many more families whose children are also at the edge of care too. How are you working with the local authorities, and what is the referral mechanism to help support families?
Thank you for that question, Lisa. One thing that we're actively doing at the moment is promoting our services to the safeguarding teams across Shropshire. We're working closely with the local authority and making them fully aware of the interventions that we can provide, whether that's pre-birth assessments, whether that's supporting families that are involved in substance misuse and they're starting to break down the relationship. So we're partnering with We Are With You, the alcohol and drug provider for Shropshire, and making sure we have this joined up approach so that we can identify early interventions to make a difference to family and their connections. And we'd be welcome more response from the judiciary as we move forward to look at how we can support vulnerable women across Shropshire.
Good to hear, good to hear. And when you talk about Shropshire, you talk about Shropshire, Telford and Wrekin. We're talking about the company, I think. Okay. And then Alison would like to know, one for you, Neal, again. What made you decide to work with Willowdene?
Yeah, good question. I think, first of all, yourself, Dean, you and I were speaking, as well as with Mark, as well, your husband, about Aico getting into the community and being up to something. And you obviously knew Matt and brought us over here to meet with him the first time, which I've already covered, with regard to his team making and marketing skills. Matt is an inspirational person, one of the most inspirational people I've ever met. And when you listen to his words, the passion, what he's up to, his family, his colleagues, you could not fail but to be moved. He's an absolutely outstanding guy. And I wanted to get involved. I wanted to do stuff myself. I went back to talk to my colleagues. They were absolutely blown away with it. Matt obviously met them. We had presentations. And then people started to come out here to see what exactly Willowdene was up to. And that was it. And we totally committed. We were due to come out last year, we were due to come out this year, everybody having a day at Willowdene and getting involved. We haven't been able to do it because of the crisis, but as soon as we're out of this crisis, we're back again. And we thoroughly enjoy it because with regard to work, I'm obviously talking about Aico, but surely this is any role in any company. You don't just want people turning up, it's a place of work. You want people to belong, to feel that they're up to something within their role in every day. You want them to enjoy coming to work. You want it to be varied. You want it to be, feeling that they're actually part of something. And what better way than to go out into the community and for your colleagues to come out and about and get away from the office, get away from phones, etc., and just see what is going on and being able to do good. And that's been part of the process with Aico in the community. And we, as I said earlier, we owe Willowdene such a massive vote of thanks to you for introducing us to Matt in the first place and realising that this would be a great cause for us to get involved with. And of course for Matt himself for everything that he does.
Is it okay if I just chip in there, Dean? Yeah. I think for other organisations watching this morning, often you can be put off when a company approaches you and think, oh, I'm going to have to host their staff and it's going to upset my daily routine, or how will it work with students? But I think establishing that relationship at the senior level, so both visions are shared, what we as a charity want out of this volunteering, what the staff can bring. And I think that's one of the things that we got right at the very start. The staff coming over weren't encumbering the daily activities, they were actually moving our vision forward. And I think there must be plenty of large organisations out there with staff wanting to volunteer. And I would urge all of the smaller organisations that are tuned in today to actually make those contacts in the community, because there is a wealth of support out there and we can access that. And actually, if they can just give 1-2 days a week, then it'll start to make a real difference to smaller organisations.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've been championing is creative CSR, so that people don't just see it as the money. But I do still believe the reason I thought you two would work together, yes, I love both organisations, but it was very much about the relationship that I saw a similarity, common vision in the two of you, and so that was the start. And I think CSR, the relationship side of it, is as important as anything, but it's people being creative, so it's not just to say about money or painting this or whatever, but also for your team, Neal, I assume, they're getting something back from this as well. I mean, educating them about, the addiction side of things and the different coursework and things like that that's going on as well. So yeah. I think it's like you say, it's a win-win. Okay, thank you. Next question. Matt, can you tell us a little bit more about why you decided to only work with women? Because that's not how it started, is it?
No, you're right. So our services really, Dean and Neal, were very much male focused. And when we started to offer the daycare services back some 10 years ago now, we saw very vulnerable women coming through, and there was very little support in the community. And these were women on our doorstep across Shropshire, Talford, Worcestershire, Hereford, but no support. And then women entering the criminal justice system, there was very few interventions that the magistrates could sentence to. And we know then the disparity of men and women committing similar crime. Women were twice as likely to be sentenced for a short-term sentence than men. And it just seemed wrong. So that's why we then started saying, well, how can we make a difference? And we started to look at the Corsten report that actually identified these issues. And then we looked at the findings in the Corsten report. What could we do as a small organisation to make that difference? And then working really closely with probation services, we developed the first alternative to custody. And then I think we started to see things change. I think we started to see that there was hope for individuals that would have gone to prison, but actually the reason they were in the criminal justice system was because of their trauma. And as a trauma-focused centre, I think it was a great opportunity for us to work with our therapists and counsellors just to unpack all of the stuff from the past and enable them to live the life they were designed for. Where going to prison would just have been, and prison at the moment is very difficult with 23-hour lockdown, there's no opportunity to deal with the past. Our students will tell you when they're on site, it's more difficult coming to Willowdene than it is going to prison. At prison they can lock themselves away behind the prison door and not deal with things of the past, the trauma, the abuse, the neglect. But Willowdene, we're directive, we have our women for just 12 weeks only. But in that 12 weeks, I think every single woman that comes to the door at Willowdene are remarkable. I think of us when in our daily lifestyle, when we've got things going wrong, we might take a headache, might take a tablet for a headache, might have a glass of wine in the evenings just to relax. Our students, that won't touch the trauma that they've had, but they're in a safe environment. They're mixing with students they haven't mixed with before, dealing with all those issues, gaining 12 to 20 qualifications in such a short period of time, and they transform. Willowdene and my brilliant staff group can't change anyone's life, but we can provide the facilities and the tools for them to access. And you've seen on the clips earlier and some clips later on today how students are just flourishing in the right environment.
Absolutely. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of them this morning, and you know, how fondly they speak of it, and some of them have been in custody. But they all said this is harder, but the rewards and the confidence that they've built and how they've had to dig deep, it's just been so rewarding. So yeah, all credit to you. Okay. And can you, Mark would like to know a little bit more about your work with women and how the interventions work. So your approach.
Yeah. So I think our approach, I think everything we do at Willowdene, we just try and do our best we can, and we keep it very, very simple. So when an individual comes into Willowdene, we don't just look at substance misuse, or we don't just look at housing. We know that many people have multiple issues going on. So we take a holistic approach. So we call it a whole system approach to someone coming through. So Dean, if you came in as a chaotic offender, someone with substance misuse, we look at everything. We look at your physical health, mental health, and we want to make sure that we provide a one-stop shop solution to deal with that. We operate in a trauma-informed environment, but we also provide directive trauma work. So we will be asking you about your past, how we can support you moving forward in a safe environment so that you feel safe to disclose and work through those issues. We have a phenomenal therapist that gives above and beyond what she's contracted to do to make sure that students here have the best time. And I think that whole systems approach, as evidence shows, is the correct way to deal with women in the criminal justice system.
Okay, thank you. Practical question now from Charlotte. How long did the assessment centre take to build?
Well, it was difficult building through COVID times, but actually we started pouring the concrete after Neal's hard work of knocking down the stable, as you saw in the pictures earlier. I can say that lasted for about 2 seconds here in your PPE.
I'm still struggling.
Yeah, before the sledgehammer got too heavy for him. But from pouring concrete to where we are today, it was just less than 6 months.
We had moved the goats first.
The goats are safe, everybody. It was 6 months. We've used Shropshire builders, Shropshire building companies. So it pretty much is a Shropshire building funded by a Shropshire organisation, supported by the Shropshire High Sheriff. I am passionate about the county in which we live, and it's great that we can do something local to support local people.
No, we are lucky to have it in the county, in fairness. Okay, so Susan would like to ask, now with the Family Assessment Centre being built, what is the long-term aim for Willowdene?
Well, I think Willowdene continues to develop and grow to meet the needs of students. When we designed this very building, we had service user involvement, so student involvement, to make sure we're catering for the right facilities and the right needs. I think moving forward it's very difficult because we're a very live organisation, but I want to see more and more women and children accessing this service, not only from criminal justice, but drug and alcohol, homelessness situations. I believe this will be the springboard as we move forward to mother and baby facilities and services.
Fantastic. Okay. How many people, Tim would like to know, how many women pass through Willowdene each year?
We have about 100 to 150, I think it's slightly different in the last year due to the pandemic, but about 125 women came through daycare programmes, with around 30 women coming through our residential programmes, and moving forward we'd see that grow significantly with new contracts coming on stream.
Okay. One for you, Neal. Ailsa wants to know what makes for a strong partnership with statutory agencies, third sector and others to make a real difference in the lives of those that Willowdene touches. Possibly not for you, actually. Probably for
I think that's probably Matt. I mean,
yeah.
I think I've expressed what Aico think about Willowdene and how we got involved and what we do.
So I think the key is shared vision, and at the heart of what Willowdene does, at the heart of what Aico do, we're figureheads of the organisations, but the key for us is the service user. We should be making sure that whatever we do is benefiting the service user. So I think partnering with organisations that put the service user at the centre of their activities will work. Neal doesn't mind if Aico isn't mentioned. I don't mind if Willowdene's not mentioned, as long as lives are transformed through what we're doing. Aico's enabled us to raise our profile. I think he said some lovely compliments about my marketing strategy earlier. But actually, that partnership is what we need as a small organisation to develop and grow. And I think this third sector needs as much support as it can. We provide, across the third sector, a range of brilliant services, but sometimes we're hiding and it's not shone in the light that it should be. And I think when we partner with bigger organisations, it makes a big difference to getting our voice out there so individuals can see what we do. And I'm a great believer that we should deliver interventions in full partnership. This isn't about Willowdene recreating the wheel. If we've got strengths with some third sector organisations, we should use them and come together and collaborate to make it one whole system approach.
Collaboration is a word that I've used a lot during this year, and it just makes such a difference. Some organisations are better at it and more willing to embrace it, but I just think for the county it's the only way forward, it really is.
I think we were just standing outside with Matt earlier, giving him probably about third or fourth debrief on how to use LinkedIn, unsuccessfully. What has happened as well by being able to tap into my colleagues, Alex and his team, the marketing team, has created a greater understanding and awareness of Willowdene. I didn't know about Willowdene 4 years ago, and I've been working in Shropshire. This is my 8th year. A lot of my colleagues were in the same position. It was because of you and obviously us then meeting, and that was one of the fundamental things that is, first of all, the first stepping stone for Willowdene was to get the message out there of what Matt is very self-effacing. He won't publicise it, but it needs to be publicised, because without having the awareness of Willowdene, how can you support it? How can you get involved? So what we've been able to do as well is utilise our strengths of branding, of marketing, redoing the reception area, etc., and help Matt with the profile that therefore is going to create awareness of Willowdene, of the great work that they do, which then obviously can help with Matt when he's trying to move the charity forward and to gain funding and more people and more cabins, etc. It's all part of the process that we experience day in, day out within our own business, and we're able to transfer the skills. And I think that's been important as well. And fair play to Matt, he has realised his adequacies and has embraced our assistance and help from the professionals within Aico.
I do thank you for your support. It has transformed I suppose the way that Willowdene is perceived, the way that we market ourselves. So no, we couldn't have done it without your support. So thank you.
I wouldn't say your work here is done just, but no, I mean you are right. So one final question: can you tell us a little bit more? This is from Simon, about the skills training that's available to the students.
Yeah, so we offer actually over 11 vocational qualification areas in agriculture, construction, catering, horticulture, employability skills, retail, tourism and leisure, so a whole range of different skills, ranging from entry-level requirements right up to level 2. And again, I think our students are remarkable when they come through. Often school was a terrible experience for them. They dropped out perhaps even at the start of secondary school and hadn't gained any qualifications. And when you see the pride in someone that receives their certificate for the first time and they've achieved something, even now speaking about it, it's overwhelming. You feel their pride, and it's just brilliant to see. And we don't do anything for the sake of doing it. Everything we do, all the qualifications are linked to practical work experience and purposeful. And where we can involve students to leave their mark on Willowdene, they do. And students right back from 1980s come now and say, I helped build that building. I'm part of that. And they bring their children. And that's great to see, that longevity of people in lasting recovery.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you ever so much for spending time with us this morning. Hopefully you've had a glimpse into our facilities and interventions that we offer here at Willowdene. And thank you for taking time to celebrate our opening of our Family Assessment Centre. I want to thank Aico for their continued support, of which without this building wouldn't be here today. And we look forward to seeing lives transformed. And the links with our High Sheriff Dean Harris has been wonderful in terms of creating lasting partnerships and legacies for Willowdene and the lives of people within our county. And I want to end by showing you some clips of our students that are currently here and how Willowdene has helped transform their lives. Thank you.
I like Willowdene because it's given me the opportunity that will become once in a lifetime and to make the most of every minute of it.
I like Willowdene because it's helped me deal with a lot of my past.
I like Willowdene because I feel it's set me up for the future.
I like Willowdene because it's given me the opportunity to turn my life around.
The views are amazing, staff are amazing, the whole place is just amazing.